Sit tight, Sarah. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Your registration is what the?
Sarah? What the heck?
What if the things we think are impossible are real? In this video, we will see the scariest creatures caught by police officers.
I swear to God, I saw somebody in the car.
With footage that captures terrifying cryptids and supernatural entities caught on camera.
What the fuck is that?
From unnerving humanoids to ghostly figures that vanish in an instant. These encounters prove that officers catch more than just criminals. A police officer pulled over a car one evening, intending to issue a speeding ticket.
Where are you headed to where you're speeding and missing stop signs?
When he checked the car's registration, he noticed it was expired. He started to ask the driver about it, but as he turned to speak to her, the woman suddenly disappeared.
All right. Sit tight, Sarah. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Your registration is
She wasn't in the car anymore, and there was no sign of her anywhere nearby.
What the?
Sarah? What the heck? Sarah?
The officer looked around, checking the area, but there was no trace of her or her car. It happened so fast that he was left standing there, unable to make sense of it. The mystery of what happened that night still puzzles him. Weeping Asylum being? In 2023, a group of police officers in Managua, Nicaragua, were on patrol when they spotted something strange in the distance. When they got closer, they saw the figure of a woman floating above the ground with long, flowing hair. Her face was haunting, and she seemed to be staring off into nothingness. The officers recorded the sighting, and the footage quickly spread across the internet. People couldn't believe their eyes. Some claimed it was just an illusion, but others were convinced it was La Llorona, the weeping woman from folklore. The image of her floating in the air still lingers in people's minds. Mysterious figures. Late one night in a quiet Indonesian town, a man gazed out his window and spotted a dark, shadowy figure standing eerily in the middle of the road. The figure moved strangely, its presence unsettling. Moments later, another figure emerged, and the two began acting in ways that defied logic. Without warning, they parted ways, each disappearing into the night in opposite directions. The man, left frozen and bewildered, couldn't make sense of what he had witnessed. Haunted Gym. Something funny was happening at a public park's outdoor gym that caught everyone's attention. Two police officers on their regular patrol watched in amazement as the shoulder press machine moved up and down by itself, as if someone was working out. Later that same day, a person arriving early for their exercise class saw something even stranger. A spinning bike was moving on its own, pedals turning round and round, with no one sitting there. People who use the park gym still talk about what might have been getting some exercise that day. The equipment has worked normally ever since, but no one can explain what happened. Cemetery is alive. A quiet night at a local cemetery turned interesting when neighbors called about people walking around after hours. The police went to check it out, thinking they'd find some teenagers, but something unexpected happened. Strange sounds started coming from different directions. The sounds were so surprising that even the brave officers decided it was better to leave quickly. No one ever figured out what made those sounds that night. Witch in White. Police officers in Saudi Arabia had an unusual encounter during their night patrol. they spotted someone in white standing in the middle of the road. The person was standing in a very odd way, and when the officers got closer, something even stranger happened. This figure started following their car. It was like a game of stop and go, with the figure moving toward them, then stopping, then moving again. After a few minutes of this weird chase, the figure just disappeared. Jin.
ما راح أقرب أكثر. أنت متجوز يا ملهوز يا شلهوز؟
During a daytime visit to an old building, someone captured something unexpected on camera. In broad daylight, they saw a figure wearing a gray robe. What caught their attention was the unusual face. It had strange patterns and an odd shape.
أنت بني آدم طبيعي ساحر. أنت جن؟
Many people who saw the video thought it might be a jinn, a mysterious being from Middle Eastern stories. The fact that this happened during the day made many wonder what they really saw.
ما راح أقرب أكثر. أنت متجوز يا ملهوز يا شلهوز؟
Hotel Horror. What started as a family getaway quickly turned into a memory no one wanted to keep. A little girl, curious and playful, pulled back the blinds in her hotel room to see what was outside. But instead of a quiet, empty view, she locked eyes with a shadowy figure moving slowly past their window. Its deliberate pace and the way it seemed to stare back at them froze her in terror. The air grew thick with unease as her family scrambled to understand what they'd just witnessed. Though the figure vanished into the night, the fear lingered, leaving them shaken and unwilling to open those blinds again. Abandoned car. On a quiet night patrol, a police officer spotted an abandoned car parked eerily along the roadside. Curious, he approached the vehicle, thinking he saw someone sitting inside, but when he opened the door, it was completely empty.
Somebody's in the car. I swear to God, I saw somebody in the car.
Brushing it off as a trick of the light, he walked away. Later, as he reviewed his body cam footage, his blood ran cold. A pale, ghostly handprint was pressed against the windshield, leaving an unmistakable mark. The officer couldn't explain how it got there, or who, or what it belonged to. The Eyes, Chico. Late at night, a man noticed a woman standing by the roadside. As he passed, he stole a quick glance, and instantly regretted it. Her eyes, pitch black and void of any humanity, seemed to pierce through him. Fear gripped him, and he sped away without looking back, his heart racing. That haunting image of her lifeless, blackened eyes stayed with him, a chilling memory he could never shake. He never found out who or what she was. IFR Jin. A cop found himself stuck in the middle of nowhere with a flat tire. He noticed a rundown house in the distance and thought it might be his best chance for help. As he stepped inside, everything took a sudden, terrifying turn. Standing in front of him wasn't an ordinary person or even a ghost. It was something much worse. The creature growled low, its eyes glowing with an unnatural fire. The cop instinctively reached for his weapon, ready for anything, but the creature didn't charge. Instead, it blocked his way, daring him to move. In that moment, he realized with chilling clarity that he was face to face with an Ifrit, a powerful, fiery demon that had no business being in this world. Taken into custody.
Honolulu police have a spooky story of their own, of a ghostly encounter at the Poly Lookout.
A new police officer had quite the experience during her shift at Poly Lookout. While doing her usual job of closing the gates at night, she noticed a lady wearing white clothes standing nearby.
She locked that one, and she got back in her car, and she drove. But as she drove in, she saw something white.
When she looked again, somehow the lady was sitting in her car's back seat. Instead of panicking, the officer remembered her training about staying calm in unusual situations. She started talking normally, like she would to any person. After a few minutes of one-sided conversation, she looked again and the lady in white had disappeared without a trace. The officer still tells this story to her colleagues.
Oh, what are you doing out here, Auntie?
The whole time, the lady sat there, said nothing, and was looking
Through the window. Beyond the barred window, between the gaps in partially drawn curtains, lurked a sight that froze the blood in its viewer's veins. A sinister figure stared back through unblinking white eyes, its razor-sharp grin suggesting something far removed from our realm of understanding. The window's metal barriers, meant to keep dangers out, now seem to trap the observer in this horrifying moment. Whether this entity emerged from demonic depths or some other dark dimension remains a matter of heated debate among those brave enough to discuss it. Dance of Death. Multiple new sightings of the Serbian dancing lady, also known as the Dancing Shadow, have surfaced recently on the internet. These chilling videos show a woman dancing in the same erratic, unnatural way, often under the cover of darkness. What makes this even more disturbing is the fact that she doesn't dance continuously, only when she senses someone nearby.
Jeste dobro?
Her movements are hypnotic, but as soon as she stops dancing, it's time to get out of there, and fast. Legend has it that the Serbian dancing lady is a vengeful spirit, cursed to wander the night, eternally dancing alone. If you find yourself near her, be careful. When she halts her dance, she chases her victims with a knife, and they're never seen or heard from again. Some say she was once a woman who went mad after a traumatic event, forced to dance forever as punishment for her actions. Her restless spirit now preys on those who cross her path. The dancing lady is not just a tale, it's real, and she's waiting. Stay safe and be extra cautious if you're out alone after dark. Invisible panic.
There's people in my car. I know you can't see them. I try to get them out, but they won't not leave.
A call to the police at midnight led to one of the strangest and most chilling cases they had ever encountered. Heine, trembling and wide-eyed, insisted her car was filled with invisible passengers. She pointed frantically at the empty seats, her voice cracking with fear as she described their presence.
How many people are in your car right now?
From what I saw, see, look, she's moving. See, did you see the car seat move?
I didn't.
There's clearly nobody in the car.
The officers, skeptical but unnerved by her conviction, could see nothing unusual. But her terror was undeniable. She begged for help, believing these unseen beings were clinging to her, refusing to let go. Even as the officers tried to calm her, the sheer helplessness of the moment left an unsettling impression. Whatever haunted her may have been unseen, but it was impossible to ignore.
I try to get them out, but they won't not leave. Even if I unlock it, will not open the door. Oh my goodness, it's like intense.
Dark shadow.
Where was it? Oh shit.
While exploring a long-abandoned building, Chris was drawn to an eerie noise echoing from one of the rooms. As he entered, a dark, shadowy figure moved in the center of the room.
Oh shit.
His heart raced as he tried to get a closer look, but the shadow vanished as though it had never been there. The room, now eerily quiet, gave no clues. Chris meticulously searched every corner, but the unsettling figure never appeared again. It was as if the shadow had dissolved into thin air, leaving only an unshakable sense of dread behind.
Where was it? Oh shit.
What's for dinner? A calm evening turned into a terrifying experience for a homeowner who ventured into their kitchen for a late-night snack. Standing just outside the window was a massive, shadowy figure, the unmistakable shape of the legendary Bigfoot. The creature's towering frame loomed ominously, its piercing gaze fixed on the house. Frozen in disbelief, the homeowner couldn't comprehend how this elusive figure, said to reside deep in the wilderness, had wandered so close to civilization. Scary humanoid. A quiet night turned horrifying when a strange humanoid figure appeared outside a house's kitchen window. Its movements were slow and unnerving as it began to climb through the window, pausing halfway inside. The creature scanned the room as if searching for something, its jerky movements only adding to the terror. After a few tense moments, it retreated and vanished into the night without making a sound. The homeowner discovered the chilling footage the next morning, and the realization of how close the creature had come left them shaken. What it wanted, or why it left so suddenly, remains an unsolved and haunting mystery. Camper encounter. Camping in the woods is supposed to be peaceful, but for one camper, it became a waking nightmare. Strange noises broke the silence of the night, prompting him to scan the dark forest with his flashlight. That's when he saw it, a demon-like creature perched on a tree branch, its glowing eyes locked on him. The creature's otherworldly appearance and intense stare froze him in place, filling him with a primal fear. Gathering his courage, the camper quickly packed up and left, vowing never to return. Circus gone wild. Late one night, a peculiar emergency call sent local law enforcement racing to an unsettling scene. There, on the roadside, stood two motionless clowns, their presence sending chills down the spines of passing motorists. What made this encounter particularly unnerving was their eerie stillness. Even as police cruisers arrived with flashing lights, the figures remained almost statuesque. Some observers said that something more malevolent might be lurking beneath those painted smiles. This incident wasn't just creepy, it was enough to validate anyone's coulrophobia, that deep-seated fear of clowns that suddenly doesn't seem so irrational. Gettysburg Ghost. The historic grounds of Gettysburg witnessed a chilling modern encounter when Greg Yolling's evening drive took an otherworldly turn. His camera captured what appeared to be ghostly figures darting across the battlefield road, translucent shapes moving through the darkness. This hallowed ground, site of one of the most intense Civil War's battles, claimed over 51,000 soldiers' lives and 5,000 horses during 3 days of fighting in 1863. Don't play around. A mirror ritual seemed like harmless fun to two thrill-seeking friends, until darkness suddenly enveloped them. The atmosphere shifted as their eyes fixed on the bedroom door, hearts pounding with growing dread. Their attempt to pierce the veil between worlds succeeded in the worst possible way. A nightmarish face materialized on the door's surface. Its gaze locked directly on them. Their screams pierced the darkness as they realized too late that some boundaries aren't meant to be crossed. Garage Phantom. At exactly 2:30 a.m., a seemingly ordinary night took a terrifying turn when a garage security camera recorded something truly unsettling. The footage revealed a ghostly figure with strange, almost robotic movements, lingering in one spot as though fully aware it was being watched. Its eerie presence filled the space with an overwhelming sense of dread, as if it had claimed the garage as its own. For the owner, this once safe space had now become a place of nightmares. Stepping back into that garage would never feel the same, knowing it was no longer just an empty room. Demonic photobomber. An ordinary evening at home took a horrifying twist when a woman spotted something dark and menacing in the corner of her eye. A demon-like figure with a shadowy outline and piercing presence peeked around the corner, vanishing almost as quickly as it appeared. The brief encounter left her heart pounding, her mind racing with questions. Was it simply observing her, or was it planning something sinister? For days after, she couldn't shake the feeling of being watched, every creak and shadow in her house now a source of fear. Moving doll. Deep in a cluttered storeroom, a camera recorded what might be one of the most chilling videos ever seen. A doll, seated innocently on a shelf, began to move on its own. At first, the motions were subtle, almost imperceptible, as though testing its limits. But then, it jerked violently forward, as if pulled by an invisible hand. The room, silent and empty, offered no explanation for the eerie phenomenon. Was the doll possessed by something sinister, or was there an unseen presence playing games? Let me know your thoughts on this. Creepy clown. Imagine checking your doorbell footage and seeing a clown lurking outside. This isn't a Halloween prank. The sinister figure wandered the yard, its intentions far from innocent. It fiddled with the door handle, attempting to gain entry, its chilling grin visible even in the grainy video. The homeowners wisely stayed indoors, watching in horror as the clown continued its unsettling behavior. After reviewing the footage, they contacted the authorities, but the clown had disappeared without a trace. Its identity and purpose remain unknown. Doorbell Horror. Strange noises woke a homeowner in the middle of the night, but he brushed them off and went back to sleep. The next day, his curiosity got the better of him, and he checked his ring cam footage. What he saw sent chills down his spine. A bizarre figure with unnaturally large eyes and a grotesque nose stood outside, staring at the house. Its silent, unmoving presence felt like something out of a nightmare. After lingering for what felt like an eternity, the figure disappeared into the darkness. The owner couldn't stop thinking about what might have happened if he had opened the door that night. Creepy crawler. Prepare to be unnerved by this bone-chilling CCTV footage. The video shows a creature unlike anything you've ever seen, crawling on all fours outside someone's house. It looked like a horrifying mix of human and animal, pale, hairless, and grotesque. Its movements were disturbingly unnatural, almost predatory. At first glance, it seemed like a twisted version of a dog, but on closer inspection, it resembled something far more sinister. Could this be the infamous Dogman, or perhaps something demonic? Whatever its true identity, this moment was unsettling. Soul Reaper. If you thought graveyards couldn't get any creepier, this video will prove you wrong. Sitting ominously atop a tombstone was a terrifying horned figure. Its demonic silhouette illuminated under the pale moonlight. Its hunched posture and fixed gaze into the darkness sent chills down the spine of anyone who saw it. Not real. A group of friends were testing out their new drone in an old, abandoned area when they stumbled upon something they never expected. As the drone hovered over an old, run-down hut, a strange figure appeared, slowly stepping into view. It wasn't like anything they'd ever seen before.
Where? Right here?
Oh, dude! Is that him? No. What the hell? That's so creepy! He's actually here, dude!
Its pale, lanky body and unnaturally thin limbs made it look like something straight out of a horror story. The figure moved with an eerie, deliberate slowness, and the way it looked at the drone made the footage feel all the more unsettling. Many who watch the video believe it's a rake, a creature from urban legends. Terror of joy. A body cam caught a cop responding to a distress call about strange noises coming from an abandoned house. As he cautiously entered, a dark shadow flashed across the hallway, vanishing before he could react. But that was just the beginning. The real horror set in when a disturbing, manic laugh echoed through the air, sending chills down his spine.
What the f***?
The cops spun around, trying to find where the sound was coming from, but there was no one there. Only the empty, silent house, and the laugh, growing more unsettling by the second. No one could explain what had happened, and it left everyone who heard about it with a sense of dread. Haunted metro doors. Late one night, a security guard at a metro station captured something that couldn't be explained. The revolving doors started opening and closing on their own, as if an invisible hand was controlling them. Fear set in as the guard watched, too scared to get closer. But then, something even stranger happened. It seemed the doors were alive, moving only when no one was around. The guard quickly realized that these doors weren't just malfunctioning, they were haunted, and whatever spirit was controlling them only did so when the station was empty. The feeling of something watching him lingered long after he left the station, wondering what kind of force was behind it all. Ghostly presence detected. A curious thing happened one evening when a woman was taking a picture of herself. Outside her window, she heard some commotion and saw two police officers rushing upstairs to check on a room. When they got there, they found the room filled with a strange, swirling mist, and unusual sounds were coming from inside. One officer seemed to be trying to calm whatever was in there, looking like he knew exactly what to do. The whole situation was odd. The mist, the sounds, and the way the officers handled it. No one really knows what they found in that room that day. Possessed woman. Something unusual caught everyone's attention in a quiet neighborhood in Poland. A woman was acting very strangely, which made all the neighbors worried enough to call for help. When police officers arrived at the scene, they found her hiding inside, refusing to come out. She would just peek out now and then, making everyone more concerned about her well-being. The officers stayed patient and calm, talking to her gently and trying their best to figure out what was troubling her. The whole street watched as the officers worked to handle the situation with care. Unseen assailant. When someone called 911 about a break-in, the police expected to find a burglar. Instead, they found something they couldn't explain. The house looked empty, but sounds kept coming from different rooms. Every time the officers checked a room where they heard noise, they found nothing there. They searched the whole house, but couldn't find what was making those sounds. It turned into one of those stories the officers still talk about at the station. Flying ghost. Two friends out for a late-night walk were caught off guard by something that sped across their path in the blink of an eye. Shocked and confused, they struggled to make sense of what they had just experienced. Luckily, a nearby CCTV camera captured the strange moment. When they reviewed the footage, they were floored. It looked like a child soaring through the air. The figure moved so fast, it was hard to believe it was human. Creepy Santa. Christmas turned from cheerful to chilling for this unfortunate family when a sinister version of Santa Claus appeared outside their home. Instead of the usual jolly figure, they saw a haunting, malevolent presence lurking near their doorstep. The eerie figure moved slowly, its unsettling gaze piercing through the festive atmosphere. The family could only watch in horror as this dark twist on the holiday icon disappeared into the night. Was it a warning, or had the holiday spirit itself been corrupted? One thing's for sure, this was a Christmas they'll never forget. Dark tentacle entity. Late one night, a strange creature was caught on camera, floating in the middle of the street. It hung there, suspended in the air, with long, flowing tentacles that moved unnaturally. At one point, the creature shifted its form, resembling a snake, twisting and writhing in a way that didn't seem possible. The only light that reached it came from the street lamps, making it look even more mysterious. Some think it could be some kind of UFO, but there's something about it that feels wrong, like it's something no one can explain, even though it was clearly captured on film. Knocking hands. One night, a man and his dog were woken up by non-stop barking. His dog, usually calm, was clearly on edge, growling and staring at something outside. After a few moments, they heard it, the knocking on the door.
Holy hell.
It wasn't just once, but a steady rhythm, almost like someone or something was trying to get in.
Shh. Calm down. What are you?
The man went to the door and called out, but there was no answer. He opened the door slowly, only to find an empty doorstep. There was no one around. The whole thing left him confused and unsettled.
Charlie, come on.
Demonic ritual. Terror unfolded on camera as a woman, wild-eyed and intense, desperately tried to prevent onlookers from interrupting what appeared to be a dark ritual in progress.
Go, back up off.
No! You don't know what you're doing!
Her warnings carried an unsettling weight, and those who chose to ignore her frantic pleas soon discovered the gravity of their mistake.
What the fuck is that?
The events that followed cast a shadow far darker than anyone anticipated, leaving witnesses shaken and confused.
What the fuck is that? Goddamn, Margot, run! Run, Margot!
Some mysteries are better left unexplored, as this incident proved, leaving behind a web of unanswered questions and a persistent sense of unease. Skipping shadow. Late one night, security cameras picked up something unusual, a person dancing and skipping down an empty street. The interesting part was the sound of ankle bells ringing with each skip. When this mysterious dancer noticed they were being filmed, they didn't stop or run away. They just kept hopping along, bells jingling, like it was the most normal thing to do at midnight. What made it extra curious was how they seemed completely comfortable being out there alone. And now, let us move to subscribers' pick of the day.
I swear to God, this is not a joke. This is actually, we terrified with.
So there's two people or two subjects that are in your backyard?
Correct, and they're very large. They look like aliens to us. They have big eyes, like I can't explain it, and big mouths. They're 100% they're not human.
A quiet evening for a Las Vegas family quickly spiraled into terror when strange rustling sounds echoed from their backyard. Curious and uneasy, they went outside to investigate, only to find a humanoid creature crouched in the shadows. It was scouring the ground, its movements unnervingly quick, as though searching for something to consume, or something worse. Its skin had a disturbing greenish-gray hue, giving it an alien-like appearance. With long, claw-like fingers and a bony, reptilian body, it seemed like something straight out of a nightmare. The creature's head was grotesque, with features that could only be described as horrifying. Panicked, the family called the police, but by the time they arrived, the creature was gone. They were left in shock, unsure of what they had just witnessed, and wishing they'd stayed inside, safe from whatever had prowled into their backyard. Do you have any stories? If so, share them, and thank you for watching.